Let's be honest, you don't need another productivity hack right now. You need your mind back. You're trying to think straight, make decisions, move forward, but everything feels clouded. There are three moments in life where clarity disappears. And if you do not recognize them, your mind starts to work against you. So let's walk through them one by one and figure out how to get your clarity back. You've got options, career paths, projects, people around you. But instead of clarity, all those options start to blend into the noise. They stop feeling exciting and start feeling heavy. I remember this phase in my life very clearly. I had two creative directions on a project I could work. Both had potential, but I kept switching back and forth, writing out the pros and cons, asking friends, watching interviews, and even looking up about microphones what serious creators use. At some point, I realized I wasn't trying to decide, I was just trying to avoid regret. I thought time would help, but time just gave the fear more room to stretch. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. It's not about being lazy or indecisive, it's about bandwidth. Every unresolved choice, big or small, pulls at your mental resources, everything you have. At first, you're just weighing your options, but slowly, without you even noticing, you shift from this evaluating phase to ruminating. Like you're no longer asking which path is the best. You're asking, what if I choose wrong and regret it forever? And that's when clarity disappears because now your brain isn't trying to make a good decision. It's just trying to avoid pain. It's running in loops, retaking the same inputs you put in, hoping for a new outcome. But here's the catch, the more loops you run, the less clear things become. Eventually, you are not thinking clearly. You're just spinning around. This is mental paralysis. It feels like you're being thorough, you're doing things properly, but what you're really doing is exhausting your clarity in the name of searching for perfection in a lot of time. That's the trap of decision fatigue. And here is a very easy way to fix it. Step one is mental contrasting. Do not just imagine the base case scenario for each option you have in your life. Also picture what are the real life trade-offs that comes with whatever you think is best. For example, like choosing between two projects you could work on. Imagine one could boost your visibility or your reach, but it might consume your evenings and your weekends and all of the free times. Are you willing to sacrifice to take this project? So simply ask, what are you giving up? Second is, what's at risk? Could you live with this even though you're not spending your time with your family or friends? And what you realize is that you are not trying to predict the future. You're just trying to respect it. Step two is deliberate commitment. For example, choose a path, even if you're just 70% sure. I once picked a research topic, even though I wasn't 100% sure, but within a week, I got real feedback that helped me pivot and improve. Waiting for full certainty would have meant months of delay, right? But clarity is built in motion. You cannot think your way into certainty. You have to live your way into it.
And speaking of finding the right opportunities, if you are a student looking for scholarships or universities abroad, you need help crafting a standout CV, or you want expert feedback on your motivation letter, I offer personalized consulting services to get you ahead. All for a small fee, you can get expert help. All you have to do is visit my website in the description. There, click on book now and you fill the Google Forms. And I will take care of the rest because I have done this before. Now it's my turn to help you out.
Sometimes the fog isn't from outside choices. It's from inside, from our own emotional state. Maybe something knocked your confidence. Maybe you're anxious, exhausted, or just off. And now you're trying to think clearly. But it's like arguing with a storm cloud. Because I remember there was a time when I made a video and I was deeply proud of. I felt like it captured everything I had and I was really honest with it. And someone I looked up to gave it a lukewarm comment like, it's fine. At that moment, I pretended that it did not bother me, but the next day, I started second guessing everything I do. I couldn't tell whether my ideas were actually bad or if I was just seeing everything through the lens of someone else, like a cracked lens. So, we tend to overestimate how intense our emotions will be and how long they will last. This is called affective forecasting, a fancy term used by psychologists to describe how our minds predict future feelings. but almost always gets it wrong. Like when you're stuck in a fog of shame, fear, or guilt, your brain conceives that this storm of emotion will last forever. You think, I'll never feel normal again, or this pain will always define me. And that's the trap. Because the truth is, emotions are like fluid. They come in waves. They shift and change, sometimes slowly, sometimes fast. But when you believe your emotional state is permanent, you start living as if it really is, and you stop trusting yourself. And here's the fix. I started a small or tiny practice. When I notice a mental fog, I pause and ask, what's the actual emotion here? Not the story, it doesn't matter here, but the raw, honest emotion and the feeling I have behind it. It could be shame or disappointment or frustration or fear. For example, instead of saying, I suck at this, I would say, I feel shame because something I cared about wasn't received the way I hoped. That small shift changed everything for me. Not because it made the feeling go away, but because it stopped it from running the show in the background. I did not let it control me. So, emotional honesty isn't a weakness. It's what clears the static so that you can actually think again. This is the quietest kind of fog. You're not panicked, you're not emotional, you're just drifting away. You have your own routine, you're functioning, you're doing the things you're supposed to do, but you're not really moving towards anything. I went through a season where everything looked successful from the outside. I know you have had this in your phase in your life, right? I was hitting goals, publishing content, staying on schedule, but I was completely disconnected. Not depressed, not overwhelmed. Everything I made was optimized, polished, safe. I realized I hadn't created anything that scared me or surprised me in months. And that's the meaning of fall. And this happens because we all get caught up in routine because routine feels safe and predictable, right? It protects us from uncertainty and potential failure in the future. But without a real connection to what matters, our values, our purpose, routine becomes a slow leak. You lose sight of your why. Thereby, you lose your motivation and ultimately you lose your clarity. It's not enough to have plans or goals. You need a why or a reason that resonates inside you. And here is a very easy fix. When you're stuck in meaning fog, it's time to pause and reconnect with what truly matters. Here's a simple and powerful way to do that. Take 5 quiet minutes and ask yourself, what three values matter most to me in my life right now? Not forever, just this current season of your life. Like which part of my life are honoring these values? Which parts are slowly pulling me away from that? For example, right now, my core values are curiosity, depth, integrity. When I looked honestly at my calendar, I saw almost nothing that reflected these values I just listed. So I made a small but intentional change. I start blocking out every time on my week to do whatever I felt like doing in that very moment. I did not plan anything. No pressure, no deadlines, just pure exploration and play. That one tweak gave me more clarity than any productivity app or hack ever could have done to me. Because values are your internal compass. When your daily life aligns with them, even small actions feel purposeful. And when you realign, even in small ways, you start to feel that fog lift. So, before we end this video, let's do a quick recap. So, if you're in a situation where you're stuck in choices, act before you feel ready. And second is if you are overwhelmed emotionally, just label that feeling. And thirdly, when you're drifting through life, just going with it, but you don't feel much, it's time to reconnect with your values. So, you don't need to feel totally clear to begin. You don't need the perfect plan, the perfect path, the perfect timing. You just need one honest moment, one grounded step, one breath of clarity in the fog. See, clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from coming home to yourself. And by the way, amidst all this chaos, or when you lose your clarity and you really want change but don't know what's wrong, feel free to watch this video. Thank you.